Hiya folks, thanks very much for popping by, and my name's Gavin and you are in the den, and I thought I'd make this small video essentially because I posted something in the community and there seemed to be quite a bit of interest, so I thought, well, let's lay out the bits and pieces that I've got, and I'll come to what it is in a minute, and make this short video basically to show people what I was talking about. And what I'm going to be talking to you guys about is storage solutions for, yes, GMT Games. That's the logo you're looking for. I am a big fan of GMT Games, as you can see from the collection that I have there. I think their production values are absolutely outstanding. They put very many other producers to shame, to be perfectly honest with you, and the quality of everything. But of course, if you're a gamer, you like storage. I mean, to be honest with you, when I get a new game, the first thing I'm doing is sleeving, punching, clipping, you know, everything apart from playing. I mean, I've got games that I probably never will have enough years left in my life to play. But anyway, that's another talking point. So what I'm going to do is, this is specifically items that I found on Thingiverse for printing, and obviously I've run a forge here, so we do a lot of printing. And it's specifically aimed at tidying up all the GMT games, so it's like counter storage and things like that. So I've showed a little bit of interest to it. So I've been sort of doing the storage. I've chosen Jim's Fantastic Space Empires as the sample for doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to swizzle this camera around, focus on the bits and pieces, so you've got some first-hand pictures of items that I think will interest you, including in your box sets, and that you can download and print for yourselves. So without further ado, let's get this camera turned around and let's have a closer look at the goods. Yeehaw! Okay, so here we are. Let's have a quick look at what. So basically, I was trawling around Thingiverse and I was looking for all the bits and pieces on GMT. And if you go on Thingiverse specifically and put in GMT, you'll come up with lots of these goodies that we have in front of us. So the first thing I have a quick look over, which were the main items, is of course the little token holders. And I say little token holders, that's a big token holder. That's a 24 token holder. Has to be printed on a 400 by 400 plate. So unless you've got access to a Chiron or something of similar, and around about 5 hours, that's how long that particular item took to print. And that's one of the things I've got to say with all these components. Running a print farm here and looking at some of the things that do print quickly, I was really shocked at how these sliced out and how long they were taking. I print at about 0.2 and a 20% fill, you know, and standard shells. So, you know, I was actually quite shocked as to, and I'm sure if you go to a 0.3 and speed it up a little bit, but you have to adapt it for each of your printers. But one of the main things, it's not so much the actual amount of material, it's the time in which that these are printed. So please bear that in mind if you're going to use external services as to how long it's going to take to print and so on. Okay, so what do they have? Well, the producer of this, and I'll put all the links onto the site, made quite a number up. Now if you download the files, you will actually get a single test compartment, which if you go into something like Mesh Mixer, you will be able to build up your own. So there are some standard sizes. There's so we're looking at the amount of columns. So we've got 7 columns, which would be 14. Don't actually have a 7 here. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, so we've got a 7 there. So there's a 7 one, and as you can see, I've actually started. This is all about putting all my Space Empires, Jim's Fantastic Game, into all these storage boxes. These storage boxes, obviously, I bought them from my local store. I'm not going to give sizes out because everybody's going to get older different, but if you have a whole range of storage boxes, then you would be able to plan out which of these boxes suit your requirements. And I've got a number of storage boxes on the go. So there's a 7 pre-made, there's an 8, so that's 16 pieces, so 7 14 to 8 16. There's a 6. 6 and all. Now you will notice actually that in your file listing you will find a 6 or 12 piece that comes with a lid. Now this is it's not as deep as the other ones. It fits about 10 tokens in each one of those, and then the idea is that you have a lid to put on. Okay, and now you can have lid. Now obviously if you're into the design you'll be able to change that, but if you'd literally just downloaded and printing, then you've got just that option. Now the only option is that 6 or 12 piece with the lids. Now what I will say is that when you printed these, and a number of these have only just come off the print, there will be a little bit of, perhaps a little bit of sanding, a little bit of trimming, because it's 3D printing. I don't care what anybody says, all sorts of different things influence sizing, but it's not far off, and I think with a little bit of sort of playing around you'll get those to snap on. So be expected that when you get these, either you printing them or you get a print service to print them, you may have to sort of have a little play around with those. So those are the ones that come with the lids, and that's just like I say on one design on there. So we'll just put those to one side a minute. The other ones are somewhat deeper, and you can actually get 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14, probably 14 15 parts in there, chits in there. And a lot of people said, so how hard is it to get these chits in and out? Well, there's my trusty pliers with my blue tack on, and my blue tack needs a bit of stickiness. It's getting a bit non-sticky. I want to get it warmed up, and there again I can just pull it out with my blue tack. I can pull them out with my fingers, and as I'm getting lower to the bottom, I can then use my pliers. Simple as. Okay. There is a little bit of slack moving around. They're not twisting around and out. What I did find was that the parts that were in the 6s that we were looking before, these have been designed with these holes in, and it has allowed that the tokens can actually turn inside there and make a little bit. They're not falling out, and the lid would keep them in place anyway. So that's not that bad on there, and they just fit nicely in there. So nice little storage idea for all the bits for your space empires if you're looking to do that. Once again, if you're looking to put them inside your boxes, I mean, the planning's entirely up to you. It's how you want to plan out your box. Like I say, these are full box size pretty much, and there's the game itself, as you can see. But that particular piece is not so much expensive in product. It will be expensive because it's time. All these things is time, and that may not be the relation that people go, well look, I'm only getting this little bit and it's costing this. It is the amount of time that's spent on the printer, and that is the big issue. So what you're paying for there is time. The other thing that's in that collection is these little square ones. So you've got 12 compartments and a larger compartment in the middle, which I think is pretty cool. So we can put all sorts of little bits in there, maybe some dice or some other markers, or bits and bobs. The other thing that you will be able to do is, if you are familiar with scaling, when you look at the files, you will see that the designer has left in one of these blank, a single. So if you're familiar with how to use Mesh Mixer, or you're comfortable in grouping and putting them all together in Cura or something like that, then you will be able to make up your own. But the thing is, you will be able to scale them up to make for tokens that are bigger or something. And we're talking about GMT Games because I love GMT Games, but there are lots of other games out there. So they all use different size tokens and things like that, so different chits and so on. So you better scale those up. So they do. The designer has supplied with just one of those. The other thing that you will see on there, if you go to Thingiverse, put in GMT, you'll be thrown up there, is card holders. So there was two types of card holders on the Thingiverse. One of them was this one. This is a 2-card placeholder. It's quite a sturdy box there. That took about 4 or 5 hours to print. I was really surprised actually how, and that was a 0.2 with a 20% fill. I'm quite happy. I don't really like to have it too rough. I'd rather wait for the extra couple of hours and have a slightly smoother finish, but it's horses for courses at the end of the day. I mean, I've got a print farm with 15 machines in, so I'm not suppressed. But if you've got one machine and you don't want to be waiting a full day for a card holder because you've got other things, then obviously you're going to make it a bit quicker for yourself. Now, there were 2 card holders on there, one which I think was called the parametric card holder. As you can see, slightly thinner. It's very much sort of a thinner version of this. Not as I say, not as sturdy. When it's actually on the bench, it's really quite good. One thing was, if you're not confident, this is already scaled up to accept cards with sleeves on. So there's my Space Empire cards. I don't have the expensive sleeves on, so they're a little bit larger. They're just the sort of cheapy standard ones, which I'm more than happy with, but I'm sure, and they just fit in there really, really nicely. These, however, do not. They are sized exactly for the card without the sleeve, okay, which we can see there. Well, that's fine. 10%. I would upscale this by 10% and you will be able to get yours in there with your sleeves on. So that's a little job that you'll need to just do very quickly. And once again, if you're not too familiar with that, then PM me and I can just, but literally it's very simple in Cura. You can upscale those for there. So they do the little card holders. Now, the other little thing that I showed on that was, and having the discussion about, was clippers. And I was looking to buy some clippers. Now, they also, in that little collection of items that you can download, is, oh, that's a little tiny one. And forgive me if I don't remember the sizes, because I don't. Let's put those, so basically load up my chit in there. Get my side cutters, wherever I put my side cutters. It says, oh yeah, this is the problem with having no space at all. In there. And it's just a nice little jig to very quickly go around, and I can clip loads of that and pull that out, and there you are, nicely clipped chit. And people will say, why do you do that? Well, you have to, because pimping your game is the most key thing that you could be doing. So there we are, a whole evening's load of fun. So they do the little things. Now obviously you can upscale these as well to suit other chits and tokens for other games, so that's really cool on there. And what's some of the other things that you can find? Well, I did start printing out. I have Space Corp, and I'd started printing out, there was a Space Corp collection, so we've got some token holders, we've got some trays that you can put your bits and pieces in. This was put out on a Chiron again. Once again, you can see the size of that bed. That's not a normal size bed, that'll have to go on a 400 bed. A little bit of stringing going on there, so a little bit of tidy up. I actually printed this at a 0.3 because it literally was on for about 12 hours, 13 hours, and I didn't want sort of 16, 18. I wanted to see, and actually, to be fair, I was actually quite happy, and I think for something like this, and this is a far more solid structure, but it takes a long time, and to be honest with you, it's not my bag too much to be printing these, and I think the idea is that all these will go in the boxes. I was going to follow this one through to see whether or not it all fitted in the box and everything could be placed in there, but it's just so much time, and I have the printer in use for many other things, so I just couldn't really afford the print time on that. So anyway, that's it. That's sort of a nice little collection of bits and pieces that you can print out for yourselves for your GMT games, and why not, and have it all stored up nice and tidy. So get yourself over to Thingiverse. If you are, I do offer print services, and I'll probably be putting a collection together through Etsy, just as a collection piece for these, if you're interested in there. Other than that, get out there, get printing, and get clipping and storing. So anyway, that's great. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe if you want to have listen to any more of this nonsense, and I look forward to hopefully presenting something else to you in the near future. Take care now. Bye bye.